welcome to We're All Fine. I'm Holly.
And I'm Carley.
And we are here to give you some delightful, unsolicited advice and definitely unsolicited opinions throughout the entire episode. We are so excited because we have a very special guest joining us today. We'd like to welcome Jenny Maloney. Applause, applause, applause.
Everyone.
So Jenny is a writer, an actor, a producer, a technician, a mom, just brilliant human being overall. But we don't care about any of that on this podcast. What we really care about is what brings you here today.
So what brings me here today is that I'm really just a pro at winging it.
Brilliant. Which, to be fair, I think may actually come with the territory of just being a woman, but
yes, but I think my my mantra is really fuck around and find out, and it's worked out well for me. So we're gonna try that.
I love that. I love that.
Jenny, I just fell in love with you right now.
I was already in love with you guys, so somehow it's mutual. So yes, it worked.
Well, this is a really uncomfortable start to this episode because today's episode is about rejection, and I
really
just got everything that I wanted right there. So I think we have all, whether it's rejection in our romantic endeavors or at work or friendships or just going to the restaurant of our choice and asking for our favorite meal and they're like, no. How we accept that, how we kind of move on from that, process it. It's kind of what we're going to be talking about today. So I'm already kind of ready for this to be a really difficult episode because I hate the word no. I hate it so much. So Carley, make me feel better.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, I'm going to be honest, and I'll probably say this a couple times during the episode. I actively avoid rejection. Like, I avoid it far more than the plague I learned recently because I got COVID twice. So, like, I was being really careful. I was avoiding everything. Like, I literally learned that I have avoided rejection in my life more than a plague that I lived through. And I hate it. But one thing to remember is it could always be worse, and there's always light on the other side. So I'm going to tell you a couple stories, and I want you guys to guess who these people are based off of the rejection they were given. So I think it'll be like kind of like a fun game, okay?
It's a game. I love this.
It's a game. Are you ready?
Yeah, as long as you didn't pull our personal rejection.
Yeah. At age 14, Jenny Maloney.
No, like Carley seems so nice, but she's a monster under all of it.
Yeah, by the way, my hobby is I'm a private eye and I know everything about you. Okay, are you ready?
Ready.
Let's do it.
So this person was 15 years old in 1978. He was 5'10", and he wanted to be a professional basketball player. He was cut from his high school basketball team because he had a lack of skill. So totally rejected by school, by a coach. Who do you think this person was?
Oh my goodness, we're starting with a sports example?
I know. Well, you know what? We can only go up from here.
I mean, like, it's sports ball, and it's somebody who is cut for not having any skill. I mean, I feel like I should be thinking of, like, reality TV actors or like a musician. Somebody who is, like...
that had no skill, right, in basketball. So it was actually Michael Jordan.
I was about to say it's someone who maybe was a late bloomer.
He was only 5'10", so he wasn't very tall at this point in his life. And his coach literally said, like, you are not on this team. You lack skill in this game. And then went on to, like, win six NBA titles, which I don't know what that means, but he did that.
Whenever you bring sports ball into the room, everyone's like, well, that sounds nice. Oh,
right.
That must be very important.
Yeah, like he must be
I think it's like the Oscar for basketball.
Okay. Nope, that helps me immensely.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, 6 of them. That's a lot. That's a lot of Oscars.
Yes.
That is a lot of Oscars. Are you guys ready for the next one?
Yes. I feel confident.
I feel warmed up now. Yes.
Okay.
Totally gonna get it.
In 1919, This person was told that he lacked imagination and had no good ideas. He received over 300 rejections from bankers because his ideas seemed crazy.
Oh, this is Albert Einstein.
This is actually Walt Disney.
Oh, darn.
Walt
I was
Disney.
Jenny, I would have guessed Einstein as well, for real, because I think he had something similar, right, from patent offices.
Yeah, he had a lot of patents rejected.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
he did.
Walt Disney?
Yeah, so Walt Disney was told at one point in time in his life that he lacked imagination and had no good ideas. And over 300 bankers rejected him because they didn't think he was going to go anywhere. On top of being told from all the art studios he worked with, like the art studio, I'm going to Disneyland soon. And thanks for the good ideas, friend.
That's crazy. Wow.
All right. I'll do one more and then we can be done. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm going to win this one.
Okay, I believe in you. Okay, so this person was born in 1954. She faced a lot of rejection in her early life and home life. She eventually became a co-anchor on a show in Baltimore, but got fired and was told that she wasn't likable. So she got her dream job on television and then was fired and was told that she was unlikable.
Oprah.
It is!
Oh, well done.
Yep. They didn't think the audience was going to like her.
Oh.
They were definitely
right.
Somebody got fired for sure after that.
Yeah, that's what I would like to see, the people who were let go after making bad calls.
Right. That's
Jim,
where the meat is.
Jim, Oprah's show is now making $1 bajillion, which is a much higher sum than any of us are familiar with. I'm afraid you made a bad call. We blacklisted you from the industry.
Donahue. Like,
you suck, Jim.
Poor Jim.
Jim.
Okay, so even though it could be worse, that actually made me feel much better.
Right. Well, yeah. All of these people, I mean, I have never been told that I lacked skill in basketball. So I've never played it. I'm not, but like I've never been told that. So it could be worse.
Maybe that right there is our very first suggestion for dealing with rejection is just don't put yourself in a position to ever get it.
I'm going to be honest. That's the only advice I'm bringing to the table. Avoid it. Avoid it at all costs.
Right. I mean, I have been told by my therapist that avoidance is anxiety's best friend. So maybe there's a lot of hand in hand there. So maybe not the best suggestion, but I mean, it's a choice.
I mean, I never said I gave good advice. I just give it.
So, Jenny, I don't remember when it was, but you posted this challenge to yourself over social media that was so both crazy and also wildly inspiring.
Brave.
Could you tell us some about that?
So, yeah, I think it was a couple years ago. So it was right after COVID, I think, where I just set myself the challenge to be rejected 100 times in a year. So I do a lot of writing. So I have short stories, I have novels, I have plays, and I also perform. So I was like, any rejection that I get counts towards this 100 rejection count. And that was actually in an effort to refocus how you look at rejection, because like we look at rejection and we take it so personally, right? But it's actually not that personal. Most of the time it's someone just trying to figure out their own problem and their own mess, and they either view you as the solution to that problem or mess, or they don't. And your job is just to show up and be like, hey, I can solve your problem or your mess. And they'll either take your help or they won't. And that's really kind of on them. But I
That's
mean,
a pretty big number, Jenny. I mean, to go with 100, why? That's like a rejection every 3 days. Like, what?
You didn't have to put yourself in that position.
Like, I would have been like 5 rejections this year.
Yes, yes, I did
So-
it. And I only cried 4 times.
my credit card does. Because 100 rejections, like, it's a nice round number, right? And it's a nice big number. And also because a lot of times success is just a numbers game. So the more times you put yourself out there, the more times you, like, I set a record for the number of rejections that I got, but I also set a number for the record of acceptances I got.
I've heard this. So, you know, Chad does sales, right? He's like
Right.
done, that's my
Yes.
husband. So he's done sales his entire life, which is crazy to me to even think that like he does commission only sales, which is like, if you don't get it, you don't get paid, which is
Right.
absolutely terrifying to me. I can't even imagine. But
Mhm.
he said the same thing, is you just have to keep going out, because for him, every no this is what he told me. He said every no gets you just that much closer to the yes. So you just have to keep going. And every time he'd get a no, he'd be like, awesome. He was like, that was just the one I needed to get to the next yes.
Mhm.
And so it was a weird way to reframe that, to think about every no was, oh, okay, that's just getting me closer because I have to get so many.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that I'm now out of my stable of short stories, so they're all sold, and so now I have to write more things. So now I have to be maybe a little bit more productive, which is a whole separate issue later.
Jenny,
But-
congratulations! That's amazing.
That
Thank you.
is
It's
so
a total
cool.
humble brag, right? Like, oh yeah, I got rejected so many times, but all my work was picked up, so I'm fine.
Yeah, you don't have to be
super
humble.
exciting.
This is not a place for like humility or like I'm fucking awesome. Like
We
that's the
celebrate it
energy
here.
you can have. Yeah.
But yeah, that's one of the things too, is that just because you're told no on one thing too, doesn't mean that you're going to be told no on the next thing. So one of the biggest rejections that I had, I applied for this job and I didn't get it, but the interviewers were so impressed with what I had said. Like, I came in second, right? They recommended me for 3 other jobs and I did get one of those jobs. So it really is an opportunity to like network, even if you get the no. Though don't get me wrong, it's really, really hard to get that no, right?
So that's
you-
actually one I wanted to ask you, is like, when you got that no, like your first couple,
Right.
how did you respond?
Okay, so the worst day was I got 7 in one day. It was 5 short stories that got rejected, and then I had done 2 auditions, right? So at the end of the day, my intellectual capacity, my physical capacity, my emotional capacity had all been questioned by that, right? Because you're writing, like, it takes your brain and it takes your creativity.
Right.
Like, when you go out and audition, they're judging every part of you. And to have all of that rejected in one day, my reaction was basically just curl up on the floor and cry. And that's what I
Yeah.
did. And I feel like that's a really healthy reaction. Like, when you get rejected, you can mourn the no that you got. Like, you can be sad about it. That's perfectly okay. But then maybe after you've binged watched, your favorite show for a little bit,
Ate that
Right.
quart of ice cream.
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
you're
Then just send something else back out. And I did. I sent 2 more stories out later that day, but I definitely had to cry about it first.
you talked about the auditions, and that's, I can't even imagine as a writer, because just writing is, I mean, it's so much of your heart and your soul and like pieces of you into each thing. And for someone to go, no, to not take that personally, like, did you just say no to me? You brother trucker. So it's clearly, I go to anger first, but I know.
No, I think
The-
that's also a fair reaction. Be
Yeah.
like, you don't understand my genius. I mean, that's probably Walt Disney's reaction, right?
But I know from like the theater perspective, because that's the one I'm more familiar with. Every time I was teaching kids about auditions, because especially when you're talking with high school kids about auditioning, and they always go in thinking they're being judged. Like, every moment is like a personal judgment against them. And whether or not I was thinking it for myself, for them, I reminded them kind of what you talked about. Like, you're going in as an actor and you're saying, look, director, I know that you've got a problem. Your problem is you need to fill these roles. You're trying to find that person. Guess what? I'm that person. You're welcome. And if you go in with that feeling of you're welcome, you're exuding a confidence that maybe you don't actually feel, but it's coming across that way. And even if you don't get the role, because we all know that with theater, I mean, it's not objective. Like it could be,
Right.
you remind the director of their ex and now they want nothing to do with you. Like it has nothing to do with your ability, but you can feel good about the work that you did because you went in to solve that problem. So I love that you brought that up.
Yeah, the other thing that I think of when I think about rejection is that when you walk into a room for a job interview or an audition, like I've been on the other side, like I've been at the hiring table, I've been at the director's table where I've had to pick. But every person that walks in, I genuinely want them to win. I really want them to I want them to blow my socks off, right? So really it's not judgment. I really want to give people an opportunity to shine. And I think that's the case too with editors who are reading submissions. Like they want this submission to be the story that keeps them up at night, right?
Sure.
So, and I want my story to be that too. So we're all wanting the same things. So there's nothing really malicious in the process, which also helps go through the process because no one's going, oh, Jenny, this one, when she walks in. I mean, maybe now, maybe the more people know you, they're like, oh God, but
she comes.
But
I think too, like with someone who suffers like secondhand embarrassment for other people, there's nothing worse than watching someone else like have a complete panic attack in front of you because they think you are judging or anything, like, because then I just want to like embrace them in arms of love, which is very much against HR. So like you just
exactly,
it's bad for everyone. But let's just say like, so outside this work environment where, I mean, you can have all these like fantastic ideas, now stepping into rejection into a personal environment.
Dun, dun, dun.
Because that's a lot harder to walk into like a romantic relationship and be like, I'm your solution. I know you got a problem. I'm your solution. You're welcome. Although we've all met that person.
That person.
Yeah.
And maybe we dated that person a little bit longer than
we should have.
Right. And every time they said you're welcome, you were like, I'm going to punch you in the face. I'm going to punch you straight in the mouth. This becomes a whole different way of dealing with rejection when you are, and I'm not even going to necessarily say in romantic endeavors, just because I'm at this point, like I'm so far, like it's been so long since I've tried that. Like it'd be real awkward if I was like, last week, my husband and I were out and I told this waiter, hey, right? Like, so I'm not like in that zone, but I've definitely had this feeling with trying to make friends as an adult. And reaching out to a new person where I'm like, okay, yeah, we're gonna be buddies, we're gonna hang, and like I just got that shut down fast. Dealing with that. Now, Carley, you made like a big like horse noise when we talked about it,
right?
So like personal rejection. Okay, so I'm just gonna say, like, I say this every episode. I feel like one of those people, but like, I am so grateful for my husband. I am so grateful that we got totally trashed at a cabin and he decided he wanted to marry me because
you know what, Carley? Hallmark is missing out on an entire line of cards that starts that way.
It was literally in the middle of a snowstorm too, in like Woodland Park Divide. So we had like 3 feet of snow. It was 2:00 in the morning. We were all schmammer-jammered, and he went down to get on one knee, and he went like into the snow. And so, but no, it was great. He meant it when he woke up the next morning, which was really handy for me as a person.
That, by the way, is the inside of the card.
Yeah.
Today, I mean everything I said last night.
Yes.
That's an amazing card. In fact, that's probably a short story. So I should be writing this down.
Probably. Like, yeah, it was great. But I'm so grateful because I am turning 30 next month, and I have successfully never asked a person for their phone number first. I have never asked someone out on a date. I have never told someone I liked them first. When I tell you that my fear of rejection was so far deep, it's not even funny. Now working through therapy, I realize that it's cool to care. It's cool to care.
At
But
30.
I had to pay a lot of money to get to the point where I was like, oh, it's okay if people know that you like them. Even with friends and
Most of the
stuff.
time they'll be flattered, I think.
I think so. I haven't tried it yet. I've now learned what's cool. It's cool to care. But I was always so afraid, even with friendships or stuff. I'm very few times in my life have I ever been yeah, we should go get coffee or something. Unless that's something that person has already said to me, because I don't know what it is. I don't know if I see rejection as this huge dragon, because the angsty teenager that lives inside of me likes to believe that she doesn't care what people think, She doesn't care if you like her,
So cool.
Yeah, I think I bring her to the front a lot when I'm around other people, where I seem very calm, collected maybe, or I am the frazzled mess in human connection that I feel I am all the time. But I have, when I tell you, I have avoided these things, and I've been broken up with for sure. We'll probably talk about this guy a lot, but we're going to call him Tool Band Cover Guy. We dated for 3 months.
No more. I think we're done.
That actually was the whole story.
Yeah.
That was it. Oh, it gets worse. My husband has made songs about this person to torment me, but anyway, it's fine. So I flew somewhere for my birthday, and I wrote a group chat with my family and him in it, and I was like, hey guys, landed safely. Mind you, my grandma's in it, my mom's in it, my sister's in it, and I was like, love you guys. And I was not in love with this person. I get home, and he's kind of weird, being weird, and he was a couple days later, he was like, you know what, Carly, I just think you're in love with me, and I'm not there right now. And I was like, no, I am not in love with you. That is not what this is. And he was like, well, you said you loved me. And then one time during adult time, I was trying to compliment him, but so it was, I love you, or, and then said the body part. And so he brought that up too. And when I tell you, I was like, okay, I gave you a compliment and I told my grandma I loved her. These are very different things, friend. And he was like, yeah, you're in love with me. And I just need to focus on my band. So we can't be together anymore.
There's honestly though, Carly, I could have maybe seen this from 100 miles away. First of all, this is an excellent example of the person that walks into a relationship with, you're welcome. I'm here to solve your problem. So thank you for that. But also, there's a lot of guys that if you're like, hey, I love your penis, and they're like, so clearly you love me as a human being and everything about me. So
I didn't know that, because his personality was but he was very talented at a few things. I did not have feelings for this man, and having someone look at me and be like, I know you're in love with me, and I'm like, but I'm not. I don't know what you're doing. And then to be told that he had to focus on his band was when I was like, and I'm done. We could both be done, because his band, they only did covers of Tool songs.
Hence the name.
Right. So once you're rejected by that caliber of a man, oh God. Yeah, I was 20. I had just turned 21. Yep. And so, yeah. So, once you've been with the best, you just settle.
Oh my God.
Sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
So that's one way of dealing with rejection, is just to go on a binge of I will never show emotions to anyone ever again. So that's definitely one course of action. Jenny, do you have a different
about it? It's kind of how you approach it. I mean, I don't. This might sound a little bit weird, but judging from that story, I don't think that you were actually rejected by this guy, right? You said that you weren't in love with him. You weren't asking for the thing that he was, quote unquote, rejecting you for, right? So it probably definitely, I don't want to minimize like the feelings that came from Tim the Toolman Taylor, but it was.
Oh my God, I'm gonna die over here. Yeah, I mean, it was
Also,
really hard.
but I think that you would have rejected him maybe a week or two later. So it hurt, but I don't know if it was. I don't feel like it was a loss on your part.
No, I mean,
I kind of like this pathway of like rejection happens. So hands in the air and like, I'm done. I'm out. Bye bye. And then hold on to that for a few years till someone puts their knee in a pile of snow and tells you that they want to be with you.
Mm-hmm.
From like the friendship standpoint, I go the full other direction. And when someone that I have decided I want to be friends with, and they really, I can't seem to get them to like me or like to want to hang out with me, it becomes a challenge. And now I try even harder, which really that doesn't always work, because then it just makes me feel real obnoxious. It doesn't make me feel obnoxious, it makes me look real obnoxious. And then I start overthinking about like, I don't want to look like I'm trying too hard, but I'm definitely trying hard. There's this woman who, she's the wife of one of Chad's coworkers, and she is like the coolest. Just, I mean, she's amazing. Her life story is incredible. I would love to tell you about it, but I'm afraid that she listens to the podcast and then I'm going to destroy all the work I've done.
Yeah.
So yeah. But she's so cool, but she's also she comes across a little frosty.
Okay.
And on a physical level, like physically looks down her nose at people. I don't mean it. I mean, it's just kind of how she is. But our mutual friends talk about how amazing she is and wonderful and sweet and kind. And I've spent like 2 years trying to like get in that circle where she'll talk to me, but she mostly just stares at me like I've got horns coming out of my head. And finally, like a month ago, she friended me on social media. And I was like, what? So then I immediately like went onto her pictures, and because I'm that person, and like found stuff to just like comment on, not old pictures, like new stuff, because I'm not that crazy.
New stuff. Don't go like 3 years later.
I could show, like I'm engaged, involved. And then when I saw her at an event not long after, I followed up on that picture that I saw, like, hey, so I saw the da-da-da, how's that going? And she got into a conversation with me. And suddenly it just went fast. At the end of the night, she went up to my husband and she was like, hey, can you make sure that Holly has my phone number? Blah, blah, blah. And then we got invited over for dinner. And it was just a matter, I mean, it took like 2.5 years, but it was a matter of getting through the icy exterior.
You chased that white rabbit. I hope this friendship flourishes.
Yeah, well,
I hope so.
I like that. We can call it persistence or we can call it stalking. I think, again, it's just how you frame it.
If you didn't hide in her bush, you're just persistent.
Yeah, you didn't, right?
I mean,
again, people listen to this.
I don't know what Holly's
so I don't want to release
really
all my secrets, everybody.
She likes plants. She looks for lost cats. She's a hero.
Like, wow, your new furniture looks so good through your front window.
What night cream do you use? I couldn't recognize it.
You smell so pretty when you sleep.
I think you have sleep apnea. I'll help you.
I mean, I think that was a good approach, right? You were genuinely interested in her, and I don't imagine that you stalked her. I mean, maybe on social media, but that's what social media is for, right? Like, with those things for people to check it out. So I think that that's perfectly okay. I mean, were you scared that she was going to be, loser? Yeah, she's super cool.
Yeah, every day.
Like,
every day that I saw her.
See, well, that's the thing too. Like, how many days did you see her? Like, were you hanging out every week and she was blowing you off? Because that's a totally different scenario than seeing her once every 6 months for 2 years. Because that means that you had 4 interactions where you decided that she was cool, and then on the 5th one, she decided you were cool too. So,
Jenny, when you bring common sense into this discussion, it frustrates me.
I'm sorry.
I either need to be validated, affirmed, or told how great I am.
Which I think was great. All those 5 times that you met her.
Damn it, Jenny. All right. Well, then, now that I've opened up my heart and been rejected by this group. All right, Jenny, your turn. Your turn.
Okay, my turn. Gosh, I don't know.
Jenny's like, I've never been rejected. Everyone that meets me loves and adores me.
I've always walked away from the relationship first. I've never.
Honestly, I believe it.
I have.
You truly are unqualified in this arena.
I understand the fear of it. So a lot of times it'll be like, well, I'm going to break up with you before you break up with me, right? Like I'm going to do the rejection before you reject me. So therefore I'm always in control. I do have control issues. It's a thing. So there's that. But I don't know, like as far as dating and friendships, these I think get more complicated because what's happening is if you're dating, you're really looking for kind of a life partner, right? You're looking for a teammate. You're looking for someone who needs to check a lot of boxes. So the stakes get raised really high because it's not only your emotional state, it is your financial security, it's your physical security. And if you pick wrong, those consequences can be really, really dire, right? So for dating, I think it's a much tougher environment. But at the end of the day, I also think I kind of adhere to. So my friend, I'm not going to give her name either, but this was her style. After she and she's actually a writer too, and she and I we give each other prizes for rejections, like of short stories and things like that.
That's the solution right there. Is I want a cookie every
Yeah,
time.
I want a prize. I want a $50 Amazon gift card for my time.
But when she decided that she was going to date and put herself out there, again, she presented it as a numbers game. I'd be shocked if she hadn't had a spreadsheet, right? Like here's this. But she's like, I will go on any date with like the guys on Match.com, like at least once. Cause she's like, what am I losing? I'm losing a coffee, if that's the case. So she went through, I'm not saying she dated like a super ton of guys, but she did land on the one that's for her, and they've been married 10 years now. And yeah, so she did approach it very systematically, and she tried not to take it personally if they didn't like ask for a second date, because she's like, well, if they didn't ask for a second date, then one of these high criteria, right? Like, do they want kids? Do they, have a job? Do they have a retirement plan? Like you can look all this. Do they have a felony? These are things that like you can sort of weed out, right? Again, by doing numbers, and the more you date and deal with people, like you can start building your own list. Like I need someone who checks these boxes, and this one didn't. So if you look at more as like you're in the director chair for dating versus you are in the auditioner chair for dating, I think that helps reframe it a little bit. Again, not a pro on this, but
Jenny,
it's
I
like
think
it would logically make sense.
Honestly, I think you're a genius, because here's what I've heard for all of us, whether you're doing professionally or socially, romantically, that ultimately you have to look at every no as getting you closer to a yes. And that's really what it comes down to, is that you're the one looking, not the one being looked at. And every no gets you closer to a yes. I think that kind of encompasses everything. Yeah?
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah, so Chad answered our questions way earlier. So
no, Jenny, I think that you're a genius. I am yet more in love with you than I was even at the beginning of this episode. I think it was possible.
And you say that without worrying about me rejecting that love. So
look
that's
how far we've grown.
How much we've done.
Oh my God. This is a really powerful moment.
Yeah, I just want to say too that I think at the end of the day, people are not going to be offended if you compliment them by wanting to be their friend. Or like maybe they did spend a lot of money on those shoes and they were feeling really hesitant that maybe that was a bad decision, and you complimenting them says yes. I don't think do any of you flinch away from compliments? Like if someone says something nice to you, like
oh no,
they call you a genius, for example.
I like live on them. Yeah.
So
that's like my food.
Yeah, see, you're not going to dislike them. So
yeah, in general, yeah.
in general.
True.
Yeah.
In general. The affirmation for this week that I found, our crowning moment, I think it's really apropos. So you guys ready for this?
Ready.
Here's our affirmation.
Yay.
I can hold two opposing feelings at once. It means I am processing. I can hold two opposing feelings at once. It means I am processing.
I like
Because it's okay to feel frustrated or sad or any of those things when the rejection comes, but also feeling hopeful and encouraged. And you can do both.
Yeah.
It just means you're
Alright.
working through it.
I like that. I like that a
I
lot.
do like that. Yeah.
I do.
The silence felt like rejection, everybody. So I am
No.
feeling both
Did you-
encouraged and sad.
We were
Well,
processing.
did you know that silence after, so everyone in theater, when the audience applauds and like stands up and is cheering, everyone thinks that that's like the big response and that
Mhm.
everyone liked it. But in reality, if the audience is quiet for a second or two after the curtain goes down, then they're absorbing it and they actually get more positive reviews than the cheering. So if you hear silence, it's because people are processing what you told them. They're holding those two conflicting views and processing.
Damn
Yeah.
it, Jenny. I need
You're
a pocket
processing.
version of you to just carry with me every single day.
Yeah. I'm going to not be afraid of rejection when I text you every 5 seconds. Like, hey, just want to let you know I walked past a guy on the street and we did not make eye contact. Does he hate me?
So
He's your
brilliant.
friend. You haven't met yet.
God. Jenny, I am so glad that you joined us today. We're going to have you on again because you are just darn delightful.
Oh, thank
know.
you.
You did great.
For real. For all of our listeners, if you have not already, we would love for you to tell us how brilliant Jenny is, because we all love hearing those wonderful things.
Ooh, I don't know if we need to open this up to speak.
So for sure, you guys can DM us, Facebook, Instagram at We're All Fine Podcast. You can leave us a review on anywhere that you listen to podcasts. We're on Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, Audible, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, leave us a review. Tell us what you think. We love all of those things. Make sure you subscribe. We've got some really fun things coming out on social media. Thank you, Carley. Look for those things.
Thank you, Holly, for being my muse.
Okay, everybody. Well, we love you. We'll see you next week.
Bye.